like we just trip ourselves. I don't even know how else to say that.
Yeah.
Because once again, like what's going to happen? Let's see. So we have a Republican Supreme Court by majority of numbers wise, right? And then in 10 years, let's say a few of them, just drop dead out of nowhere, right?
Mhm.
If we have a democratically led government, president, House, Senate, whatever, there's going to be more willingness to vote Democrat into those empty judge spaces. And then what's going to happen? Are they going to overturn the overturn?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just going to be like
Exactly.
this cat and mouse game for like ever.
Yeah.
And I think the older we get and the more stupidity we see surrounding political parties, it's going to really encourage like new generations to be like, why don't we just ban like parties?
When our generation gets into public office and are at that age, do you think it's going to be better? Do you think it's going to change at all?
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
No.
You think they're going to go the same way?
Yep. I think this is going to be a pattern for like ever.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because there's, again, so much corruption surrounding the government.
Do you think our country will last long enough for our generation again to public office?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Because once again, like, nobody fucks with us. Like, nobody's going to really try and, like, take over America. Like, we're no longer in colonial times where, I'm going to, pack my musket and then, march on up to...
Well, I'm not talking about, like, from foreign threat, like, domestically. Like, do you think people who disagree, like, the polar opposites, will be able to live in the same country long enough and not break out into war?
I think the longer this goes on, the more extremism can come into it.
Yeah.
So, yes, lack of patience, lack of execution will eventually bring in more propaganda parties, very similar to, the mass shootings that happened recently with the white supremacist. I can't remember. I think it was in Buffalo where he drove to a grocery store, ended up killing X amount of people because of his beliefs. I think there will be a day where, somebody will do something really bad in retaliation of maybe the government or the opposing views or whatever it might be. So yes, I think the longer this goes on, the more the opportunity for that sort of thing to happens.
Yeah.
And I also think there's a large amount of people in this country that, although they're tied up in this, there's also a sense of like, even if their opinion is completely opposite of mine, I know that there's like a genuine conscience to be like, okay, I believe in this and this person, like, okay, because like our lives go on, right?
Yeah.
This is going to be 2 weeks worth of protests. And I'm not saying this in a bad way or anything like that, just to clarify, like, I'm all for peaceful protests and I'm all for this and that. But at the end of the day, protesting doesn't work. It's not going to overturn anything. It's not going to do anything. And I believe it is your right to exercise that right. But at the end of the day, it doesn't fix anything. So I don't know what's next, right? Again, in 2 weeks from now, we're going to turn the page and it's going to be, okay, what's the next politically based thing or maybe event or whatever it might be that takes place?
I think I have a feeling this will last a little longer than that. I feel like this is such a big thing.
It depends on what you're right. You could be right in a sense because it depends on because right now, obviously the left is reacting, right? Mm-hmm. So how does the right react to the left?
Right.
And then it's going to be like, okay, how does the left react to the right, react to the left? You know what I'm saying? It's
going
to be
a chain earlier.
Yeah. So you're right in a sense. It may go on a little bit longer and we'll see states start to come out with more laws or opinions or whatever it might be, politicians coming out in support or going the opposite way. So it could last a little bit longer as far as those events go.